These are 5 toxic ways to instantly change yourself and your life overnight. And you're not ready for this. Because remember this, sometimes to get the things we want, we have to be a little bit uncomfortable because the things we truly want lie the frick out of our comfort zone. We can't gentle parent ourselves through self-growth all the freaking way, or else we're gonna get stuck in a medium place thinking that if we just do everything so it feels good and nice and not too overwhelming, then we'll get the things we want. No. You're gonna have to be a little toxic to get the things you want. So let's get into what those toxic things are. And let's change your life overnight. The number one thing is you have to live with things being a little bit uncomfortable. If you want things to change quickly, you also have to be prepared to change. Everybody wants their life to change quickly. When am I gonna manifest this? When am I gonna get that? But nobody is ready to make drastic changes insanely quickly. We want to hold on to something. We want an anchor. The anchor is freaking you. You'll always have yourself until you're dead. And then you'll still have yourself because we're all just energy. If you want things to change, you're gonna have to make drastic changes. And that's why the first toxic tip you're gonna have to embrace is just that sometimes it's not gonna be comfortable. Sometimes it's not gonna be all gentle parenting and sitting down and saying, my nervous system has to get used to that. Because you're literally begging and praying for things to change overnight, for you to become rich overnight, for you to blow up overnight. That stuff doesn't happen. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be completely comfortable. I'm gonna know exactly what's gonna, because you're trying to predict every freaking little thing, because you're trying to make sure that everything is something you are aware of. And like, okay, I know what's gonna happen next. I have everything figured out. That's why you got nothing going on. Because if you're trying to predict everything that's gonna happen, nothing's gonna happen because your brain cannot predict something that's not happened in your life yet. So it's going to be really scared when it's thinking about all the things it hasn't experienced yet, which is why you're not doing any of the things that are actually going to take you towards where you're going to go. Which is why, first things first, get comfortable with the fact that you're probably going to be slightly uncomfortable, a little uneasy. Things are not going to be all great and jolly. Not because they're not going to be good in the long haul, because you're going to have to go through some transitions with different stages of your life. Could be things like moving, could be things like quitting something, starting something, like even freaking making videos online. You can't walk into the life you want with all comfortability. You have to feel a little nervous about it, or else it's not really something that is changing your life. Remember this. If every single piece of advice was intuitive to you, then you would already be doing it and you would already have the life you want. That is why sometimes you have to do the things that feel counterintuitive, or listen to advice. You might be like, wow, that's a lot. I could never do that. Sometimes you got to do that. Yep, it's a little toxic, but it's true. Number 2, you have to let go of what you believe is the true version of yourself. A lot of the times, the reason why we're not getting the things we want is because we're defending the heck out of our true self. I can't do this because that's not my true self. I couldn't dye my hair back to my natural color because that's not my true self. I could never wear no lashes because that's not my true. I could never not wear streetwear because that's not my true self. You know who your true self is? Your true self is the version of you who has everything that you want. And if you don't have everything that you want already, then that's not your true self. And that doesn't mean you can't be happy with the version of you are now, with what you're doing, who you are, how you dress, everything like that. Absolutely not. We're not promoting saying you suck to yourself. This has everything to do with questioning what you think you need to be and everything that you're literally holding on to for dear life. I used to really be the type of person who was like, if I don't dress in streetwear and I don't dress in like these specific outfits and sneakers every single day, then that's not my true self. I've literally just had a phase where I was like, oh my God, my blonde self is my true self. And look at me. This is my natural hair. This is my natural hair texture. This is literally amazing. This is beautiful. Am I going to probably change it? Might I have just long blonde hair in like 2 years? Who knows? I'm not going to force myself into a cage of who I need to be in the future, or trying to defend a version of me that doesn't have everything that I want. I'm going to let myself be open to discovering that I can be so much more than what I thought I could. Because a lot of the times we think we're defending ourselves. But in reality, we're actually putting ourselves in a cage. We're saying, I could never do that. I would never do that. This is my true self. I could never cut my hair like that. I could never dye my hair like that. I could never do this and this and this and that. And mind you, it's good to stand on your business. It's good for you to have certain things that you believe in. But you have to be willing to be a little hypocritical. You have to be willing to have an opinion, stand by that opinion, and change. We are way too freaking used to always having to have the same freaking idea about what life is, who we are. We claim to be this, and then when our body and our soul naturally wants to let go of the version of ourselves we wanted to, no, we want to cling on to it because that's what we said we were going to do. When you were freaking 7, you probably said you were going to tame dinosaurs or something. Are you going to hold on to that? You might have even said that you wanted to eat cookies for dinner for the rest of your life. And now you're like 25 and you're like, cookies for dinner doesn't really sound that. Do you shame yourself for being like, well, I promised myself when I was 7 that I'm going to hold on to this identity? No, because when you're a kid, it's okay for you to change things. It's okay for you to change hobbies. But as adults, we're so fixated on like, okay, this is who I am and nothing is ever going to change. Screw that. Don't always try to defend your true self because your true higher self is out there and they're just waiting to be found. But you're too preoccupied with trying to keep your old self in a cage while at the same time you're walking around talking about some gentle parenting yourself. That's not gentle parenting yourself. You're putting yourself in a freaking cage. And at the same time, okay, it's getting ranty now. You're always talking about how you want this and you want that and you're not going to be happy unless you have all of this and all of that. And at the same time, you're defending a version of yourself who doesn't have what you want. Like, oh yeah, I'm never going to change. You want things to change. You want things to change, yet you don't want to change. Number 3 is get rid of as much stuff as you possibly can. If you want things to change, you have to create a vacuum, which means that you have to create a void for the universe to give you what you want. If you're constantly preoccupied with stuff or people or things to do, you're not going to have the time to pursue new things or actually create your new identity. And I'm not saying go trash your friends and your family and just be like, later, loser. If you want to move, you have to get rid of stuff regardless. If that's your dream and that's what you want to do, you have to get rid of stuff when that time comes. And if that time is going to come earlier, you're going to have to do that preemptively. The universe freaking loves a vacuum. The universe loves an empty space it can fit. If you're constantly focusing on your old self you used to be on social media, or you have a lot of emotional attachments to a bunch of stuff you bought years ago that still has the tag on and you're never wearing, or you maybe wore one, then you're not really moving in the direction of what you want. You're not really leaving any space for you to become the version of you want to be. No natural space at all, that is. Because you're literally, and you might say, I can't just get rid of everything. I'm not telling you to get rid of your freaking underwear. No, you have to be mindful of. If you were to move tomorrow, if you were granted the magical opportunity to move to a new country, start a new job, do specific new things. If you were to become the version of you always wanted tomorrow, there are certain things you would do differently. You're gonna have to do those preemptively. And I promise you, those things that you think you're so attached to, you're not. You can get them again. As I always say, the things that are meant to find you will find you. That's also why when it comes to defending your true self, if you are someone who has specific things you do and that's your true self, those things will come back to you like a boomerang. You will never find more things that are your true self or more opportunities that will bring you more of your true self unless you actually go out there and try something new and make space for it. I, for one, used to defend being a streetwear girly to the max, and I got rid of all of my streetwear stuff basically. Now I still kind of dabble between one style and another style, and I know that the streetwear is just gonna come back to me. If it's meant for you, it will come back to you. It doesn't make freaking sense to hold on to it so tightly that you squeeze it and it leaves you. What is yours will never leave you. What is yours will never freaking leave you. It will always come. You just have to have faith that it's gonna come back. You just have to have faith that what is meant for you will come to you. Instead of being super caught up and always trying to hold on to everything, you have to let things go. You have to detach from situations, people, and most importantly, material things, because those material things that you actually need in your life and that are actually you will come back to you in literally tenfold. The fourth thing is stop crying and start working. You have to stop complaining about all the things you don't have and all of the things that the world has done towards you and all of the things that are everybody else's fault. You have to start working towards what it is that you do want instead. If things have gone wrong, what is then the right thing? If you're constantly reminiscing or focusing on all of the things that are going wrong, you're never going to get the things that are right, because you're literally using the law of attraction against yourself. You're saying, oh my God, all of these things went wrong. And then the universe is like, oh, that's what you want? I'm going to give you more of it. You might say, well, I should be able to talk about all the things I've gone through and all of the negative things in my life. There's a big difference between talking about, oh, you know what? I got some period pain today. And then telling everybody and their freaking mom, oh my God, I went through all of this trauma and the world should do this and the world should do that. Nothing is going to change unless you change. And it's a harsh truth, but you can cry about all of the things that are not going in your favor, or you can work towards changing them. That doesn't mean you can't be sad or be like, oh, this is hard. But it's better for you to cry on the road to trying something new, changing something, discovering something, than crying about it, sitting back and being like, okay, so now I cried about it. How are you going to change things for me? The law of attraction will give you whatever it is you focus on. And I'm going to give you a great example of how it actually works. If I tell you, don't think about AirPods, don't think about apples, don't think about a horse, what do you think about? You think about those exact things. The universe does not care that it's don't, or I don't like, or I don't want. It just catches on to the fact that that's what you're focusing on. And the more you focus on it, the more stuff you're going to get. Think about it like that. If you're spiraling, if you're having one of those days where you're like you overthink one thought, and then more overthinking thought comes to you until you're like one big freaking overthinking mess. If you do not have an outlet to create, whether that means art, whether that means social media, whether that means makeup, whether that means whatever it is it means to you, golfing, dancing, karaoke, pursuing something that isn't just sitting at home and complaining. If you're not doing any of these things, your life is not going to change overnight. You want your life to change overnight, you're going to have to stop from tomorrow on. You have to stop talking about, well, it's so sad for me. Nobody is ever going to help you unless you speak light into the things you want. People can't help you if the only things you can focus on is, this doesn't work for me. You have to know what the solution is. You have to speak light into the solution. That doesn't mean you have to do the solution. Somebody might bring it to you when you focus enough on it. Just like if you are not around enough people and you're trying to sing, one might be in the freaking crowd being like, oh my God, you sing so good. I actually have a studio. I would love for you to come and sing. Bam. Suddenly you've got an opportunity because you pursued what it is you wanted to do instead of pursuing all of the things that weren't going right. It's a hard habit to break, but you will instantaneously see a difference, and you will catch yourself so much more like speaking into the negativity that's constantly in your mind when you are aware that you are actually the one who's creating more negativity that's literally trickling down into even more. You have to focus on what you want, and then you can cry on the way to that. Like, I could make a video now and I can go to my bed and cry, but I made a video. I did something that I can put out there, which is literally a lottery ticket to change my life. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else is going to come and be like, oh my God, here's everything. Unless you know what it is that you want, unless you actually focus on, okay, well, I want to go in this direction. You need to know some type of direction you're going in. You have to work towards the destination you want to go to. And then you are going to cry on the way there. But you can't just sit and like cry in the corner and hope that things are going to change once you cried enough about it. You go up, do something, cry. Cry or work. And I'm gonna give you a freaking story again, because why not? When I was 17, I used to do marketing for a company, like a t-shirt company that this other person who was also around my age. I wanted to learn a little bit about marketing, so I volunteered to help with marketing. And I remember always being like, everything is not going right. I was literally oversharing with the person who owned the company. And instead of them being like, oh, wow, you're oversharing, they freaking told me you can cry or you can work. You can cry or you can work towards what it is that you want. Within a freaking year, I had quit the job at the knickknack store that I worked in. I got invited to all sorts of events. I had literally made it possible for me to work for myself because I understood that nobody's going to come and hold my hand unless I do it for myself. And you got to work towards that. That's also a part of the working journey, crying with yourself, holding yourself instead of crying to everybody. They're not going to help you, and if they do, they're not going to give you exactly what you want. You're going to have to know what you want, and you're going to have to work towards that. And the fifth and final thing is stop trying to be perfect and stop trying to control everybody. Your perfectionism and people pleasing is killing every little chance of change you have because you're constantly trying to make sure that everything is a sure bet before you try anything. You want to make sure that your voice is perfect before you ever try singing. You want to make sure your first makeup look for social media is perfect before you ever post on social media. Things don't work like this. Life is like learning how to ride a bike. You gotta freaking do it to learn how to do it. And you will fall down many times. But remember this, when you were a kid, people were literally cheering you on for falling down on your behind when you were trying to learn how to walk. They were cheering you for failing. You have to cheer yourself on for failing. It is better for you to fail as the version of yourself you want to be rather than to win as the version of you that you are constantly comfortable with being. Don't try to win as who you are now. Try to fail as the version of you want to be. Because in the failing, you will learn so much more about who you are, what you actually want, where you're trying to go. And you will also learn that it's freaking easy to get back up again when you don't shame yourself for not being perfect. So many women especially are caught up trying to make sure that everything is freaking mitigated and everything is controlled and everybody and their mom has the perfect reaction to them before they do anything. They don't even want to grow. They don't want to make choices for themselves. They don't want to do things because they're afraid what people are going to say. What are people going to say if I do this? What are people going to say when I do that? What are people going to say when I start my social medias? Don't tell them about it. You have to do it alone. And you have to fail at it alone. You have to fail at it without people looking. You have to get rid of that whole I need to prove to people. Look, I can do it. Look, I really did it. And you thought I couldn't. You have to get that freaking out of your head right now. The proving and the wanting to get justice from people and the making sure that everybody and their mom is happy and making sure that everybody and their mom understands what you're trying to do. And like, I'm not trying to offend you by growing. I'm not trying to tell you that you're bad. That's what's setting you back because you're trying to mitigate every single situation. You're trying to control other people. That is exactly what a freaking people pleaser is. It is a manipulator who's been manipulated by other manipulators to manipulate because you're trying to make sure that everybody has a specific reaction to you before you make any freaking choices in your life. Does that sound healthy? Does that sound like somebody who can actually make choices for themselves? No. You have to make the choices for yourself and you have to fail by yourself for yourself. You have to get up there, make a fool of yourself with nobody watching. And making a fool of yourself with nobody watching is actually more daunting than making a fool of yourself with everybody watching. Because with everybody watching, at least you can be like, haha, oh, that was bad. With nobody watching or strangers watching, you have to own it. You have to be like, okay, we failed. What now? Let's go get going. You have to get comfortable with the idea of failing. You have to get comfortable with the idea of being a villain. You have to be comfortable with imperfection. You have to be comfortable with the fact that sometimes you're going to have to show up and you don't look exactly how you want to look. Your chair might sound like you're farting. Your hair might not look completely perfect. You're not going to have enough followers to feel like you can show off your life. Your apartment is not going to look perfect enough for you to feel like it's good enough to show off on the internet. Oh, well, you want to have work done before you show up on the internet. Whatever, everything, you want everything to be perfect. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. And if you're chasing that feeling of perfection, you're going to be chasing everything for eternity because that feeling doesn't even exist. Perfection does not exist. So you're going to be chasing nothing and you're going to be trying to get to nothing with a very, very small plan. You're going to try to make sure you know exactly how to get there and you know exactly every little feeling that's going to come. That's not healthy. You are never going to get to what you want because you're never going to have a broader view or a broader perspective. You're going to have a super narrow perspective of what it means to get what you want. And you're going to try to find the perfect way to get there. That's why you're not getting freaking any blessings. You're not getting any freaking blessings, girl, because you're caught up thinking that you need to make sure it's this specific way. And the blessings comes from this specific thing. And most importantly, that your blessings have to come from you working yourself to the ground, trying to make everybody happy, thinking that if you do them favors, they're going to give you reciprocation. And now you get resentment because they're never giving you reciprocation. And now you feel like you're owed more, but you're never getting it. So now you blame the universe or you blame society. No, that's the perfectionism has to go. The perfectionism has to go. Goodbye. And you have to open yourself up and be like, okay, maybe things could come in different ways. You have to be open to be like, okay, maybe the iPhone that I'm trying to manifest is not going to come in the way that I think it's going to come. Maybe the life that I'm trying to manifest is actually not the life that I actually want. Things are going to come. Trust me, what you want is going to come and what you need is going to come. But you can't be on some, everything has to be perfect. I want everything to be this way and everything has to be like this and this way. It doesn't freaking exist. And that's the last piece of toxic advice. So girly, these are 5 ways to change your life overnight. And you might be like, oh my God, but this takes time to learn. Just watch this freaking video overnight or watch it like 10 times and then you'll learn. And even if you're like, I hate that girl. Yes, I love it. I love that you hate me. If you hate me, that's good, because that means that I have made you think about something that you never thought about before, and I've made you a little triggered, which means that I'm actually talking to a point of view that you haven't been facing. So that's good. And I can make a whole video about how it's a good thing that people hate you. Maybe I should do that. I've already made videos about how it's a good thing that people think you're a mean, bad person. So if you want that, let me know. And anyways, I love you guys, even if you might hate me. Yeah! And I'll see you guys in the next video. So stay toxic, try out these things, and just be good and happy with not being perfect.